called Absolute Real Estate. I originally got into real estate because I wanted to be a real estate investor. I wanted to buy and sell. I bought my first house when I was 21. My dad paid for the down payment, and I lived in it, fixed it up, and eventually ended up selling it. So I had this grand idea that I wanted to be a real estate investor. Well, then I made my first commission check after about being licensed for about 10 months. I'm kind of a slow learner, so it took me a little while to get going. But I made my first commission check, and that month I doubled my income. Still working full-time. So I did that for about 2 more years until I made more money selling real estate than I did working a full-time job. So that's kind of how I got started. I still, my dream of investing is still present. Up to date, my wife and I have flipped 5 residential properties for a profit with private investors. One of them is actually in this room back there, my good friend Chris Herman. So, and I've helped a handful of other investors make some significant profits over the last 3-4 years, and even recently, the last flip closing that I had was last week, and so the market is not at a point where investors can't go out there and make money. Up until last month, there's been really not a lot of good news in the real estate market. Last month, Rancho reported, I think it was the Observer, reported 102% improvement from March of 2011 to March of 2010. But up until that point, really there's not been a lot of good news on the real estate front. And so I wanted to really focus on what I think is probably the best thing going right now in the real estate market. Who feels like fortunes can be made in a down economy? It's pretty obvious, right? That right now there's massive amounts of wealth being shifted. Robert Kiyosaki is the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and in the early 80s the Hawaiian real estate market was really, really depressed. And what he did is he bought 15,000 waterproof wallets. You know, the little coin purses that they used to sell? They used to be real popular. He bought 15,000 of those for like ½ cent each from China, and then sold them to retailers on the beach. Doubled his money, and he used that money to make his first down payment on a house in Hawaii, and ultimately built, you know, a massive real estate empire. And now he teaches classes on how you can buy and sell homes, and he's, you know, just super wealthy. I would run out of time if I listed all the people that have made massive amounts of money dealing in real estate. So I'm going to just focus on 2 simple ways today that I think are practical in today's market. So the first way that you can invest in real estate right now is to buy a house. It's really easy. Just go out and buy one. And wouldn't you guys agree that you make money when you buy, no matter what you're talking about? When you buy right, I'm not asking a question, that's a statement. You make money when you buy. There's no doubt about it. And step 2 would be make your mortgage payment. And that's pretty simple for most people. And then step 3 would be maintain your home. That is the simplest way that you can invest in real estate. My dad is a good example of that. He's been a community servant for almost his whole life. Didn't really plan very much for retirement, but he made his mortgage payment on time, bought a house when he was fairly young, and has parlayed that into a decent retirement that he's going to be able to live here in the next 15 to 20 years. The second way is what I really want to focus on. It's a little bit more complex, and it's not for everybody, but I just want you guys to see the opportunity that's out there and potentially share this with maybe some of your friends. And there's some mortgage people in the room right now. And so what are mortgage rates on 15-year mortgages right now?
Well, mostly what we focus on right now are adjustable, so we're kind of focusing on who don't quite qualify for a standard loan. So their credit's not quite that good, but we'll get them in, they'll clean up their credit, and then they can refinance. So ours are adjustable. We're about 6.375.
Okay. And there's room for the programs like that for sure, and that falls into category number 1. Category number 2, I'll tell you, the interest rate is 4% right now, roughly, for an investment loan, which is phenomenal. And when you combine that rate with the real estate prices the way they are right now, it's like a feeding frenzy for investors, because an investor can take their money and leverage it, right? It's not like the stock market. Like, does anyone borrow money to invest in the stock market?
There is a way of doing it.
Would you recommend it for the average Joe?
I don't mess with it at all.
Yeah, no way. Seems crazy. I would no idea. However, with real estate, what you're doing is you're leveraging your money. For example, if you're looking at purchasing a home for $100,000, we'll keep it simple, and that is a realistic number for an entry-level home in the Rio Rancho, Albuquerque area. I was actually just with Chris looking at some, and they're out there. They're a little bit rough. They need some shining, but they're out there. So if you take that $100,000 property, an investor is going to be required to put 20% down, okay? So you're going to have a mortgage for $80,000 on that property. Say it takes about $5,000 to fix up. You got to do paint, carpet, maybe replace a couple of cupboards, patch up a roof, you know, just to get the property in working order. So if you look at that monthly payment on $80,000, your initial investment is $25,000. And your monthly payment on that property is going to be about $750 a month on a 15-year mortgage. That's pretty crazy, right? So you take that same property and you rent it out for $900 a month, and you make $150 a month in cash flow. So you multiply that by 12 months, that's $1,800. Okay, so you make $1,800 that year, and you invested $25,000. That's not a great return. It's about 7.2% annually. Return on your investment. Not phenomenal, but keep in mind that the principal amount that you're paying down on that loan is very, very significant. You're paying the very first mortgage payment, you're paying $325 off of your principal amount, which is a big chunk. Who here has a 30-year mortgage? Who was depressed when they saw their first statement and saw they paid off like $99 of the principal balance? Yeah, it's really depressing. But on a 15-year, you don't have that. You instantly start accruing equity every single month that either you or a potential tenant would be paying that mortgage down. So if you add all those numbers up, you guys are just going to have to trust me. Any accountants in the room, you can go back and check it.
Chelius apologizes if you make it to check it.
Yeah, Chelius. I wanted Chelius here so that he would probably find an error in my ways, I'm sure. But if you add that up, that's $325 extra a month that you're bringing in. And it's essentially like putting in a long-term savings account. Because you're not able to spend that money, right? Unless you go and refinance down the road, which is a totally different topic. But you can't just spend that $325. But it's a long-term investment into a savings account that you can draw on later on in life. So if you add those numbers together, you have your $1,800 in cash flow, you have your $3,900 in principal pay down, that's $5,700 a year that you're making on that $25,000 investment. Do the math in your head, it's 22.8% annual rate of return. Now, there's a laundry list of pitfalls and things that can come up that if you are serious about investing in real estate, I would want to discuss with you. But that's a really good rate of return. And in 2003, I was, how old was I? I was just getting into real estate. I just bought my house and I was ready to go. And I thought, man, if I had money right now, I'll never see prices this low again in my life. If I had some money right now, I just wish I could buy some homes. And, well, that time has come again. The prices are where they were in 2003, 2004. And it's really an exciting time. So if you guys know of anybody who has expendable investment income, I would love to sit down and talk with them. And if it's you, that's great. And if you're telling me, look, I don't have $25,000. Well, do you have $12,000? Last year, I closed on 2 homes under $50,000, 2-bedroom, 1 bath in Albuquerque. Insane, right? You put that on a 15-year note, and you could pay it off in 5 years if you wanted to, if you're really disciplined and you lived in it. There's just a million different options right now. So it's really an exciting time in real estate for me because I see the potential. Most real estate agents that you're going to talk to kind of are not busy or whatever. I mean, there's just so much opportunity right now. Interest rates being where they're at, for people that are our age, if you just invest a little bit now, it will pay really big dividends down the road. Even if it's simply the home that you live in. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It doesn't have to be a rental. You don't have to be a landlord, even if it's just the home that you live in. So as you go out throughout the week, just think of me. If you run into somebody who says, man, I just have this money that I don't know what to do with, send them my way. I'd love to sit down and talk with them. And if it's something more practical, if you're thinking of a friend or a family member who maybe is renting and they need to invest in their future, I'd love to sit down and talk with them and just explain what I do and how I can help them out. And again, my name is Michael with Absolute Real Estate.